Shana Tova again. And I thought with a question, just out of curiosity, how many of us had an opportunity this past summer to attend a Jewish wedding? Anybody here go to a Jewish wedding? Oh, a whole bunch over there. There you go. Yofi. Hey there, Yofi. That's wonderful. Okay, put your hands down. And as many of you know, don't all shout it out because I still have to lip read you, but we end a Jewish wedding with a very interesting custom, with the custom of what? Smashing a glass. We end the wedding with the smashing of a glass. Does anybody here know why we do this? You have to raise your hand. Anybody know why? Why do we do this? John?
I think it's to symbolize that the marriage could never be broken, like the pieces can't be put back together.
Oh, so it symbolizes, so John suggested it symbolizes that unlike the glass which can be broken, it is the hope that the marriage is never to be broken. Fantastic, that's an explanation. Anybody got another one? Joanne.
It reminds us that even in times of joy, there are moments of sorrow, such as the destruction of the temple.
Right. Oh, that's actually, I think that's two separate explanations, right? So Joanne just gave us 2 in 1. We got 2 for the price of 1. So one explanation is that it is a representation of Zecher, a remembrance of the destruction of the Holy Temple. And then another explanation that I've often heard is that it's a reminder that even at the most joyful moments of our lives, the reality of pain, of brokenness, and sorrow is also still true. Fantastic. Anybody got another one? Nina.
May your love be so strong that it cannot be held by any vessel.
Oh, it's a little similar to John, but different. May your love be so strong that it cannot be contained by any vessel. That's a little variation on the one that John gave us, but I hadn't heard it phrased quite like that before. That's beautiful. Anybody else got another one? No.
To remind us of the shards, to remind us of the pieces that spread that we're looking to re-find.
So to remind us of Isaac Luria, right? Luria in Kabbalah teaches that the creation of the world was created by the shattering of a vessel. And that the little shard of each piece of the vessel, Shvirat HaKelim, we call it the shattering of the vessel, these little shards, pieces of the vessel, spread out from the shattered vessel to become all of the universe. Anybody else got another one? All right, I'll take one more. Yeah.
That even at the very beginning of a marriage, I see what's happening.
Randy's interpreting. I can't lip read that far. I'm sorry.
That even at the very beginning of a marriage, when nothing shattering has happened yet, the community is around you to protect you for the times when the shattering moments will occur over the course of a lifetime.
Ah, that's beautiful. So, so Marcella is suggesting that an explanation is that at the very beginning of your marriage, when nothing has shattered yet, you haven't had your big explosive blowout fight yet, which you will have at some point, but you haven't had that. We are shattering this vessel to, whether protect you or to push off that shattered moment in the marriage for as long as possible.
No, to remind you that the community is there for you for those times.
Oh, to help remind the couple that the community is there for them. Fantastic. So we could keep going. I have no doubt that we could spend hours just gathering all of the different explanations for why we smash a glass at the end of a Jewish wedding. One of the most common ones that nobody here shares, surprisingly to me, is that the smashing of the glass is intended to scare away any demon that may be hovering around the chuppah, waiting to do harm to the happy couple. Anybody heard that explanation before? A few people, right? So that is an explanation in Jewish tradition. I want to thank my chavruta, my study partner, Rabbi Jamie Alpert, for reminding me that there are actually quite a lot of demons in the Jewish textual tradition. 2,000 years ago, the belief in demons was pretty common and pretty prevalent. And it wasn't uncommon for the rabbis of the Talmud to engage in conversations about demons, and sometimes to engage in conversations with demons. What do these conversations look like? Well, the rabbis asked the demon to please stay off the road during certain hours. Please take it easy on Moshe, like on certain individuals. Some sections of the Talmud, this is not a joke, attempt to answer the question, how do we keep ourselves safe from demons? The answers are, apparently, there are incantations to be recited, amulets to be worn, and nights on which we should avoid walking outside. The Talmud further cautioned against doing things in pairs or even numbered. For instance, we should not, according to the Talmud, drink 2 cups of wine, lest we anger the demon, but 3 would be fine. So the next time, you see where I'm going with this, right? So the next time somebody said, hey, you want to go grab a couple of beers? You say, no, but 3 would be okay. The Gemara even asks the question, what if someone forgot that they had drunk an even number of cups of wine and then goes outside where the demons are? The text gives you an answer. This person should then take their right thumb and their left thumb and put them together and say to the demon, you and I and my thumbs are 3, which is not an even number or a pair. That's pretty creative. The discussion continued. And what if the person hears the voice, presumably of the demon, that says, you and I are 4, which is a pair? Well, the Talmud had an answer for that too, which said, you should respond, no, you and I are 5. And if the voice said, you and I are 6, you should respond, you and I are 7, and so on. And in fact, the Gemara actually relates a specific incident in which someone kept counting after the demon until they reached 101, at which point the demon burst in anger. Surely each of us had done something in our lives to ward away the demon. If you have ever thrown salt over your shoulder or done the fake spit, you know this one? Right? Or hung a chamta in your home, or smashed a glass at a Jewish wedding, you have engaged in a practice that was once upon a time designed to ward off the evil eye or to protect against demons. These are all somewhat amusing to imagine. Our rational, intellectual selves push back and say, but there are no such thing as demons. And it's likely that for our ancestors, talking about demons was a way of talking about the things that scared them. Perhaps demons were a representation of their fears. In this light, naming demons is a way of naming real things in the world that frighten us. Some things we're afraid of are internal, some are external. Some things we're afraid of are rational, others are irrational. Some of our fears are based on our own past experiences, while others are specific worries about what might happen to us in the future. Sometimes we can name and identify the things that scare us, and other times we struggle to make sense out of what it might be, or we try to hide from the demon, and maybe from ourselves. I truly wish that at this moment we could all smash a gigantic glass and make all of our demons disappear. The challenges in our world right now, contrasting, are very real. And many of them are things that tap into our deepest fears. We recognize at this moment that war continues to rage around the globe, in Ukraine, Sudan, and many of us fear the horrors that come at us almost daily from Gaza, the West Bank, the Holy Land. Many of us are deeply afraid of the growing tension in and around Israel and what that means for our future as the Jewish people with a homeland. Many of us in this room and on Zoom are terrified of the dismantling of democratic institutions and principles and the tilt toward authoritarianism and fascism right here in the United States. Many of us are terrified of gun violence and murder fueled by hate and by what seems to be an ever-increasing intolerance for somebody else's point of view. Many of us are deeply afraid of the machinery of anti-Semitism running in our own town and schools, and wonder what this may mean for us, for our loved ones, and for all Jews. Some of us may have fears related to the unexpected staff transition we have gone through right here in our own congregation. And many of us, I know, fear challenges related to personal health struggles or to those of our loved ones. For the North American Jewish community, anti-Semitism and the dismantling of democracy in the United States at this moment feel like two very real demons that we are facing. While on the one hand, anti-Semitism is not new, on the other hand, it is more present and closer to home than most of us can remember it being at any other time in our lives. Indeed, we are living amongst the greatest number of anti-Semitic incidents and speech since World War II. And in fact, this is the first moment my generation has ever experienced where we can see anti-Semitism and Jews and the Jewish community being used as political pawns with frightening regularity on the national scale. So negotiating our fears and our feelings about anti-Semitism, or let's call it what it is, Jew hatred, is complicated and exhausting, partly because we need to constantly assess if any particular piece of graffiti, speech, or action is actually anti-Semitic or not. And this is often a far more complex task than you would think. Political leanings used to be a real clue. Right-wing anti-Semitism was very easy to identify. Nazis, white supremacists, white nationalists were explicit and obvious in their hatred of Jews. More recently, however, and with increasing frequency since the October 7th attacks, we see anti-Semitism on the left as well. We see it in some pro-Palestinian organizations, some anti-racism movements, and some human rights organizations, among others. And this is especially frightening and painful because Jews have historically been active participants, advocates, and allies in disproportionately large numbers in many of these left-leaning organizations and social justice causes. But also frightening and terrifying because the Jewish people are still a minority group, 0.2% of the world's population, and we have, as we all know, been the target of oppression and discrimination as well. So whether it's on the right or on the left, there is plenty of anti-Semitism or Jew hatred to go around, that is for sure. However, when the federal and some state government begin to use anti-Semitism and protection of the Jews as justification for attacks on institutions of higher learning, aid agencies, and or individual citizens without due process, we, the Jews, ought to be a little bit wary. We must realize that at times, some individuals who are using anti-Semitism as an explanation for their ideas and their action are in fact deeply anti-Semitic themselves. For example, we often hear that the Christian nationalist movement is a strong supporter of Israel. That may be true, but we need to be clear. Their support does not come from genuine love of Jews or deep respect for Israel. It comes from their own theology and ideology, and in their worldview, Jews are cast as pieces in a prophetic puzzle that ends with us being erased or converted. That is in solidarity. That is a form of anti-Semitism dressed up as a pretend friendship. I attended a seminar this past summer on dismantling anti-Semitism. The presenter, Sharon Goldsfick, made several points, one of which I wanted to share with you. She identified something she called smokescreen anti-Semitism, which you may have heard of as the weaponization of anti-Semitism. Goldsmith defined smokescreen anti-Semitism as, quote, a strategy used by authoritarian and anti-democratic politicians and movements, a political strategy which has now largely been embraced by the mainstream right in America. And in this strategy, politicians and political movements use anti-Semitism or Jew hatred to increase racialized fear and division in order to gain supporters and win elections. This is a key but risky component of their power strategy because it could lead to them being branded anti-Semitic, which could be a political liability for them. They need cover, as it were, for this strategic use of anti-Semitism. So the second step of smokescreen anti-Semitism strategy is to create confusion by pointing the finger at progressive, people of color, and Muslims for anti-Semitism, while claiming to be the true defender of the Jews. Sometimes these accusations are totally false, and sometimes they're true, or sometimes they're partially true. But smokescreen anti-Semitism accusations are always initiated with the intent to obscure the user's own use of anti-Semitism for their political gain. In essence, this is what we mean by the weaponization of anti-Semitism. As Jews, we know how incredibly dangerous this is. I often teach that one of the most powerful lessons of Jewish tradition is that it is possible to hold multiple truths. And these are two truths we need to live with and hold in this year. One, naming and calling out anti-Semitism is an important way to protect our communities and our interests. Yes, true. Two, it is also true that calling something anti-Semitic can be weaponized and used as a political strategy that puts Jews and potentially other minority groups at risk for even greater harm. It's worth remembering at this moment that our liberation is inherently bound up with the liberation of all minority groups. Freedom and safety for any of us, for any people, depend on freedom and safety for all people. In fact, history teaches us that when democracy flourishes, the Jewish community flourishes. In contrast, weakening academic institutions and democratic institutions and principles has historically proven to be bad for the Jews. Whenever societies have embraced equality, pluralism, and the protection of all minority rights, Jewish life has not only survived, but thrived. For example, in medieval Spain, through the 8th through the 12th centuries under Muslim rule, Jews experienced what became known as the Golden Age. With relative openness and freedom, Jewish poetry, philosophy, scholarship thrived, reminding us how creativity blossomed when cultures allow space for exchange. And when that openness ended under the Inquisition, Jewish life was silent. In the 17th century, the Dutch Republic welcomed Jews fleeing persecution from Spain and Portugal. Amsterdam became known then as the Jerusalem of the West, as Sephardic Jews built synagogues, entered commerce, and enriched the city's cultural life. Here in the United States, from 1776 onward, democracy extended freedom unknown to Jews in many parts of the world. And Jewish communities grew slowly but surely in Newport, Charleston, and in New York. And over time, Jews in the United States have contributed immeasurably to American science, business, and culture. After the French Revolution in 1789, Jews were emancipated for the first time in Europe. And throughout the 19th century, they entered universities, professions, and politics, shaping French intellectual and artistic life. Even the very short-lived Weimar Republic, say 1919 to 1933, 33, saw Jewish influence and participation flourish in literature, theater, science, and philosophy until that budding democracy tragically collapsed into a dictatorship. The pattern should be really clear. Under democracy, Jewish life thrives. Under authoritarianism, fascism, or dictatorships, it is silenced or destroyed. Defending democracy is an essential prerequisite that will allow the Jewish people and other minority groups to survive and flourish in this moment. Rabbi Mordecai Kaplan, the founder of Reconstructionist Judaism, firmly believed in the foundational importance of democracy for both individuals and community. He taught that democracy is not merely a political system, but democracy is a religious ideal, emphasizing that, quote, every deviation from democracy is fraught with potentially evil consequences, and every achievement of true democracy is a deep moral gain. To put it simply, weakening academic institutions and democratic institutions and eroding rights of free speech and free assembly and so on because of anti-Semitism, whether real or contrived, is in the long term bad for Jews. What are we supposed to do about all this? I want to suggest a two-pronged approach. On the one hand, we most certainly need to remain vigilant and visible. We need to keep doing the work that we can to resist the erosion of democracy and to push back against the machinery of anti-Semitism. As my mentor, Rabbi Kleinbaum, often teaches, no one can do everything, but everyone can do something. In addition, point two, we need to do what Jews throughout history have always done. We need to keep finding ways to work toward building a world that we feel truly reflects our values. And we must do this with joy and with gratitude. Gratitude for what? Gratitude for the opportunity to be alive at this moment, for the privilege of being able to assert our values, our ethics, our morals, and our ideals into a world that so desperately needs them. As the famous quotation in Megillat Esther reads, who knows, perhaps you were created for a moment just as this one. Indeed, Kerem Shalom, we were created for just this moment. And we need to now understand that our role is not only to bemoan the headlines that come across our smartphone, railing against the injustices of the world that is, but also engaging deeply in the work of planting seed for the world we hope to create. The work of planting seed for the future is profoundly holy work, and it is fundamentally an act of faith and of hope. Faith and hope. I am aware, believe me, I am aware that many of us at this moment may be struggling with the concepts of faith and of hope, finding one or both in very short supply. I humbly suggest that we all have the capacity for far more faith and hope than we might give ourselves credit for. Hope. Hope has always been at the heart of the Jewish tradition. Our very survival as a people is a testament to hope in Jewish tradition. Through exile, persecution, and unimaginable pain and loss, the Jewish people have always carried within us a stubborn belief that tomorrow can be better than today. Judaism teaches us that our true strength comes not from fear, but from love and from hope. Hope expands our imagination. Hope expands our hearts. Hope makes room for possibility and compassion, and hope moves us to act with generosity of spirit and with courage. The Hebrew word for hope is tikva, and it runs like a thread through all of Jewish history. Psalm 27, the psalm for the High Holy Day season that we sing every day, begins with the word, Adonai is my light and my help, whom shall I fear? Verse 4, Achat Sha'alti, is the famous one we sing every day. And then the psalm concludes with the very last line, Kaveh el Adonai, Chadak ya'amit libecha, the Kaveh el Adonai. Place your hope in Adonai. Be strong, take courage, and place your hope in Adonai. In moments of uncertainty, hope is not naive optimism. I am not preaching naive optimism. Hope is a spiritual discipline. Hope is a choice. It's not something you feel or don't feel. It's something you consciously choose. Hope is a choice to believe that our actions matter, that justice is possible, that healing and renewal can come. Hope is the proverbial leap of faith. To act from hope is to align ourselves with the best of our tradition and with the best of ourselves. We are called, as Am Yisrael, to be a people of hope. Not just to live passively with hope in our heart, but to model it for others out on the street, in our coffee shop, and in the marketplace of this world, and to live it in our action and in our deeds. In the words of Václav Havel, former president of the Czech Republic, he writes, hope, in the deep and powerful sense, is not the same thing as feeling joy that things are going well, or a willingness to invest in enterprises that are obviously headed towards success. But rather, hope is an ability to work for something because it is good, not just because it stands a chance to succeed. The more challenging the situation in which we demonstrate hope, the deeper that hope is. Hope is not the same thing as optimism. Hope is not the conviction that something will turn out well or the way we want it to. But hope is the certainty that something makes sense to do regardless of how it turns out. Kerem Shalom. I don't know any more than you do what this new year holds, what the current leadership of the Israeli government will do, what will become of this new peace proposal just unveiled, what will become of democracy right here in the United States, or how vigorously the machinery of anti-Semitism will churn. But I do know this: on Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish calendar year, we are all called to deep introspection and honesty. We are all called to stand before ourselves and God and each other to say, Hineni, here I am. Here I am with strengths and flaws, with pride and regret, with fear and with courage. And Yom Kippur demands that as we say Hineni, that we choose hope. Hope because our actions matter and because they can plant seeds to shape a better future. Not because we can control the outcome, we can't, but because doing what is right in one moment always plants seeds that may one day, please God, be meravi, amenu, flower. And tonight, Erev Yom Kippur, I have never been more hopeful that despite the challenges we all face, the very real challenges we face, each of us can live with this orientation toward hope. And through our action, ritual, prayer, faith, dream, love, and hope, each of us can grow into the person we long to be and help to create the world we most wish to see. So on this Yom Kippur, Kerem Shalom, let us please remember that our prayers over the next 24, 25 hours are a call to action. May we all choose hope over fear and faith over despair. Let us leave this holy day with courage in our heart, knowing that our lives and our actions and our choices make a difference in eternity. Kaveh el Adonai, chadak ya'amit libecha, v'kaveh el Adonai. Be strong, take courage, and place your hope in Adonai. Gemar Chatima Tovah, may we seal ourselves in the book of life, meaning, fulfillment, faith, and tikvah, hope. Shana Tovah.